All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. We're back at it as we wait for version 12.4. It's been a little bit longer than expected. So I thought we would actually take out our Model X, which got FSD 12.3.6 for a spin to see how it does on our regression test path as compared to the Model S. If there's anything specific or nuanced that the Model S did that the Model X doesn't, or vice versa. So we're going to start that off right here. Has the same setup as the Model S, where we have average profile, auto offset is on, and everything else is par for the course. We'll come up to our first turn here. See how it stages compare, see how it feels. I noticed that it feels like it's being a little bit more aggressive with the takeoff than the Model S, which is plaid, by the way, which is kind of interesting. A little hesitant, but goes, hits the same pothole right there. Right there was a little bit more aggressive. Did turn one great, but pretty aggressive on the takeoff for the turn, or at least it feels that way in the Model X as compared to the Model S. Model S feels a little bit more controlled. This one feels very aggressive. And I know Elon talked about dialing down the aggressive braking and acceleration for version 12.4. So we'll see what happens there when we get that one. Turn 2 here, nice slowdown, good mile an hour, good distance from the curb, all good there. Winding road, slows down nicely. Doesn't seem as close. Okay, I spoke too soon. Does seem kind of close. Still kind of close to this curb here. Still the same behavior. Feels the same in the X. It feels a little bit bigger. Maybe is a little bit bigger than the Model S in terms of the width. But the feeling that you get inside the cabin is that it's a little bit wider, and therefore it does seem like it's still getting closer to the curb. Not so much on that one. That's pretty good, just like the Model S. A little bit tight here, but I'm okay. That's good. Coming up to our unprotected left. Unprotected left. Stops at the limit line like it normally does. Creeps up to the limit. Car coming to the left, all clear on the right, good to go. Commits and goes. Great job. Great job. So all very familiar and similar in terms of behavior so far. No issues with it pulling. I do notice, at least on the X, that it does tend to bias towards the right line here. It just course corrected as I got ready to say that. Maybe it knew I was going to say it, but it does tend to bias. This car does not have an offset. My Model S does have an offset, probably needs an alignment. Does have a negative 2-degree offset, which prevents them pulling to the left. Excuse me, pulling to the right. The Model X does not have it. It's well aligned, but it still seems to be biasing or leaning towards the right line here. Not sure what that is. Not sure if you guys, wherever you are, have experienced that as well, but it's not quite centered as it typically is, and it's more noticeable here in the Model X. First little nag, looking forward to getting rid of those. But overall, I think it's really, really solid build, 12.3.6 that is. Really competent, but there are areas where it can fall down, can come apart, and does maybe even need interventions from time to time. And I think they're looking to fix and address a lot of those issues with 12.4. So looking forward to 12.4 whenever it comes. Good job getting in the lane. Going forward, let's see what it does coming up to this light here. Again, looking more centered right now. Now it should bias towards the left side of the lane and then go around if the cars are turning. But let's see what it does. If you guys are enjoying 12.3.6, if you have it right now, write down in the comment what's sort of the most mind-blowing thing about it from your perspective. What did you see? What did it do that kind of blew your mind? But also write down, hey, one of the things that disappointed you, right? One of the things that it did or didn't do that disappointed you. Would love to see what the highlights and the lowlights are for 12.3.6 overall before we get 12.4, that is. Lots of car seats in this car, so you'll hear a little bit of maybe squeaks and rattles. It's not the actual car; it's the car seats in the back and how they're isofixed versus seatbelt into the car. So no worries there. Train tracks coming up. Good job. Already starting to stage the turn, which is good. It needs to make the right turn, so it's already staging a little bit early. Probably as early as the Model S. I'm not really seeing any real differences there. It seems like the build is the build and performs the same way no matter what car it is, which is great to see. But let's just wait until we get past these final turns. All right. Right turn. Good job. Good distance away from the curb. All good. Now it comes up to the destination. This pin is kind of weird, depending on where it is and depending on what it wants to do. Good job making space for the cars there and the person that I didn't even see. Excellent job. Sometimes the car wants to pull over. Sometimes the car wants to turn down the street. I'm not quite sure what it will do. Let's take a look. It's kind of wanting to end. I'll turn down this way. Okay. So I will make this video worth everyone's time, and I will stop here for a second, give it a quick score, and then we're going to continue up the Winding Mountain Road to give you a double feature in this regard. Okay. So for the first one we did, in terms of comfort, super comfort, I'm going to give it a 9. Super comfortable. Didn't have any real issues either way. Obviously, like I said, accelerates a little harder and is more noticeable here. I think it probably just does the same. I'm more used to it in the S than the X, and then decelerates as well. But super comfortable. So a 9. In terms of confidence, everything it did exuded confidence. Unprotected left turns, getting in the right lane, slowing down for obstacles and pedestrians, which is great. So I'm also going to give it a 9. In terms of decision making, I made all the right decisions, staged the lanes the correct way, didn't wait to the very last minute on this instance. So I'm also going to give it a 9. And then I'm also going to give it a 9 in terms of safety. I felt super safe the whole way through. Didn't have to feel like I needed to intervene in any way. It did a great job. Now, obviously, almost no traffic right now, midday. So we'll see what happens on the next pass. So now we're going to go up to the Winding Mountain Road and then see what that looks like. So we're going to go here. Let me just make sure I got it. There, we got it. And we'll just engage from here, from the shoulder. So 9s across the board for the first regression test path, on par with the Model S. So again, the build is the build. It doesn't matter what car it is, which is great, at least between the Model S and the Model X. Maybe a little bit different for the 3 or the Y, new 3 versus old 3. We'll get our hands on the performance new 3 soon. So looking forward to that. Didn't signal there, so that's not great. I don't have a flag button here. I have to disengage to report it, but I'll let it fly. But no signal there. But yeah, we'll get our hands on the Model 3 performance soon, the new one. We'll be able to review that in full, see how it compares to the old Model 3, as well as a pretty dicey maneuver here. It's interesting. Probably wouldn't have done that. I would have waited until I got a little bit further up to do that maneuver, but it felt confident to do it. So, okay, it's safe enough to do it. Compared to the old 3, new 3, and obviously compared to the Plaid, I really, really dislike when people try to compare the Plaid to the Model 3 in terms of its drivability in terms of its performance. It's really a different class. They really should keep them separate. But we'll talk about that in a separate video. Good job signaling here. Again, takeoff feels a little bit aggressive. Nice and smooth all the way through. Now, here's always the test here. It needs to stage the lane up here. Now, it can see the sign. I can see the sign, so I know the cameras can see the signs up there that say that this lane, this side of the road, even though it's a singular lane, is where you need to go straight. Let's see how far it goes before it stages the correct lane, the appropriate lane, which in this instance is the right lane, to go straight. Is it going to wait till the last minute? Is it going to do a little bit earlier? The Model S always does it late. I'm assuming it's going to do the same thing if we presume that the build is the build and nothing's changed with the cars. So let's see. Pulls up a little bit too far on this car because it could have gone around, and the cars around behind us are going around. Not the greatest. Still a safe maneuver. Didn't put me in any danger. It's going to delay the trip and then make the maneuver afterwards. Ooh, look at that. Not cool. It didn't see the person didn't see us, and it kind of crept up a little early. So that was actually kind of interesting. Didn't run into them, avoided an accident, so that's great on both ends because we didn't see each other. Still indecisive, deciding what it wants to do in terms of staging this lane. Finally makes it over here in time, which is behind the car, which is good, versus going further down and trying to cut in front of the cars. So rewinding really quickly to that little incident here where the person turned and we turned at the same time, or went around the car at the same time. It was still kind of creeping. I don't like that behavior. It should have come to almost a full stop or a slower crawl to let that car pass. So that wasn't great. I think that's one of the areas where it could stand to improve. But it just always wants to go. So it has that mindset of always wanting to go. Obviously, pedestrians are not an issue where it will stop for pedestrians. But if a car is there, if it can maneuver around the car, or it's gauging the momentum of the car going, it assumes the car is going to go. But that person slowed down to look at us. This car looked like it slowed down to look at them, and created an awkward situation. All right, now here's where auto offset gets a little weird. No cars are around, so it's 25-mile-an-hour zone, creeping up to 14 miles an hour, which is fine when no one's around, but when people are around, that might be problematic. Always stop. Good job there, checking all the surroundings. A little bit of tight quarters here. I'm sure that Amazon truck is going to pose some problems. Let's see what happens. Good job slowing down, going around, and keeping it moving. Again, 16 mile an hour, just being extra cautious. Nothing wrong with being extra cautious, just not at the expense of inciting, an issue with people around you. So if there are cars behind you going this slow, might be a problem. If you're in a hurry, don't use FSD. Drive yourself. Good job coming to a complete stop for the pedestrians and the cyclist and the car and everybody else. Now it's going to go up and take its turn. Good job. An abundance of caution is not a bad thing in these early days of FSD. Rather that than to be overly aggressive. Take your time around the cyclist. Go around when you have a chance. Try not to go over the double yellow line if you can avoid it. And I think it's going to take one now. It's going over. I'll be prepared. It's not going fast enough to overtake. It's just like riding behind her. That's not great. Gotta flag that if I was here, but I've got nothing in this one. It's taking its time. Okay. I'm okay with that. She's happy. She's getting ready to turn. She's trying to communicate. The car doesn't necessarily know how to read those hand signs, but that's okay. Baby steps. And now I can speed up accordingly. So not the smoothest experience. Again, if I was in a rush, just for the fact that I was hanging out over the double yellow for a lot longer than I would have liked. Nice, slow, methodical here. Taking its time. Very good. That's what we want to see from FSD. We want to see that abundance of caution at every turn. Avoid an incident at all costs. person does not seem like they want to stop. FSD does a good job stopping where they're supposed to. Slows down a little abruptly here. I'm not sure why. Maybe the signs on the ground are causing some issues. Just the bike path or the bike, share the road with the bike signs. All right, blind sweeping turn coming up here. And then we go up to the winding mountain road, the one in which we kind of went into the ditch. I'm expecting nothing to be changed there, so I'm expecting to go into the ditch as well with the Model X. Luckily, I don't have 22s on this one, akin to the 21s on the Model S. I have the 20-inch one, so a little bit more room for forgiveness. So I'm not as paranoid about curves as I was. Plus, you know, the wife does her number on the wheels as well, so it's pretty much a done deal already. I digress. Winding Mountain Road. Light changes dramatically from sunny to dark. Keep your eyes on the cameras here, the repeater cameras, to see if the car actually goes over. Oof. It looks like it's going over. Oh, this is nerve-wracking. Now it's coming out because I can see the white line. That's a little nerve-wracking, just because there's nothing down there and the wheel could get caught. I think they could do better. They can do better with how the car handles. Already doing a great job adhering to the speed limit here, which is 10 miles an hour, which it can now read. You see a lot of cars have been damaged up here coming up this road. It's a very dangerous road if you try to drive spiritedly. Depending on the type of car you have, tires and road condition, it can get kind of dangerous. So people I've seen people crash over here, roll over the car. And here we go again. Keep your eyes on that. The white line disappears, and do we go over the ditch? Okay, we did not that time. So that was a good one. But that first one, it's hard to tell. Kind of feels like that wheel is kind of over that line, which tells me that it's hovering over the ditch, which again, they can just do better. Taking a sweet time here. I'm not mad at that. Obviously, you want to drive these roads a little bit more spiritedly, and people behind me are beeping because I'm going 5 miles an hour over the 10-mile-an-hour limit with a woman with dogs running in the road. He's upset. Oh my. He's so mad. He has to go fast. He wants to go faster than the 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. I don't know what to do. FSD, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. He's got to go somewhere. 10 miles an hour is what it is. I'm sorry, guys. I just followed the rules. FSD bending the rules here at 5 miles an hour over, and that's just not good enough for that person. Very upset. So those are the things that, FSD has to be a little bit aware of or conscious of, or you as the driver or operator have to be aware to handle when FSD insinuates a situation. Now, obviously, insinuating by following the rules is not the thing to do, but obviously, people are people, and they have their moods, their tempers, and things like that. So there's a lot of Tesla hate on the road. So just being a Tesla is a problem, and then driving like this when someone wants to go faster can also become a problem. So the car is not aware of that. You, as the operator, might want to take over and drive a little faster, or let that person pass, signal them on with your hand, whatever the case may be. But just be mindful of that so you don't get any road rage incidences happening. Nice and slow here. I mean, it's just following the rules. It's not doing anything bad, just following the rules. People like to cut through here to get to the main road. I get it. It's fun. It's scenic. But we're just following the rules here. So one other issue that we saw with the Model S 12.3.6 is that it tends to go wide in this area over here where there's parking. Goes wide to the right where it should stay biased towards the left. I'm presuming that's going to still be an issue. It's already wide right now. Look at it. It's already to the right side of the road where it should probably be towards the left because these cars can be backing out. Kind of slows down a bit, doesn't really know what to do. I want to let it go all the way around. Somebody's been having fun shredding tires here. Wow, lots of shred. And see how wide it is. We have a truck coming back behind us. Let's see if it can go all the way around. Again, a little bit too wide for my taste, but love for it to stay centered. All right, here we go. Another parking area. Keeping a good mile an hour. Good job controlling. I don't know why it came to a complete stop, but it's showing that it's coming to a complete stop for some reason. Maybe anticipating what that person's going to do. Again, a little bit too biased to the right here. The curb is like right there. And this is one way. Car backing up. Okay, gonna proceed. And we're here. All right, so good job. It made it. It got to the destination, did the extra credit of going around through the park to get to the spot that we're talking about here, and did it without incident. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna pull over right here really quickly, give it a quick score, and be good. So that was pretty good. In terms of comfort, pretty comfortable all around, but I'm going to drop it down to an 8 right now for this one. So this one's going to get an 8 just because it kind of hung out over the yellow line too slow when trying to overtake the bicyclist. It should have overtaken the bicyclist and then got back in lane versus hang out like that. So that was not fun. Plus the uncomfortability of being over the gulch, over that white line for that first initial turn. Not very comfortable at all. I didn't know what the tires were going to do. I didn't know if we were going to be in the ditch or not. So very uncomfortable there. So I'm going to drop that whole comfort section down to an 8 just based off of that. In terms of confidence, I think it was pretty confident. I think it did everything with confidence, with the exception of hanging out over the yellow line, over the double yellow line. Going to drop that down to an 8 as well, just because it didn't seem confident that it knew how to overtake or knew when to overtake the cyclist. Even if it went extra wide over the double yellow and came back, that would have been better than just hanging out over the double yellow, going at the speed of the bike. That wasn't great. Plus a few other hiccups there. So that also gets an 8. In terms of decision making, same deal. Some of the decisions that it made, going to also get an 8. And in terms of safety, I'm going to have to give it a 7. Felt unsafe hanging out over the double yellow, right? That wasn't good. Felt unsafe going over the gulch. Could have took the turn a little bit wider to give me a little bit more confidence and a little bit more tread under the tires, or track under the tires. Would have been more beneficial for us as well. So yeah, I think also the slowdown for that maneuver where it went around the car at the last minute and the other car was coming, it didn't quite slow down enough to let that car pass or go ahead of the car, whatever it wanted to do. So that, in terms of safety, made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm going to drop that down to a 7. So 8s across the board, and 1 7 for safety, versus the initial test run where it got 9s across the board because it did that test run pretty straightforward and easy. 2 different driving scenarios, 2 separate sets of roads in terms of those conditions, right? So just a variety of different ways in which the car can perform really well or not so well depending on the conditions. And it's going to be up to you to know what conditions it can handle, what conditions it can't, and be able to recognize when to take over, right? So I probably could have taken over during the intersection, the mishap, the potential mitigation of a crash with the collision with the car turning. I could have also taken over with the person beeping behind me. I could have also taken over when I felt the turning radius was too tight for that curved road. So you know your road, you know your paths. Take the time, do it right, take over when needed, take over often as needed, but enjoy the areas where it excels and does well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think about this build. Let me know if you're excited about 12.4, but also let me know the highlights and lowlights of 12.3.6 for you guys. Until the next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your Tesla.